look genuinely at issues that affect us. If you sample the opinion of Nigerians like we did severally, it's almost 100% consensus that the top tier of administration in the country, that is the local government, have not delivered. In actual fact, some have actually called for an outright cancellation of the local government system in the country. Even at this, we still have states creating more of this local council administration in the name of local council development areas. At that, the last or the ongoing constitutional amendment exercise has a bit of local government salaries and teachers' pensions, primary school teachers now asking the federal government to take it over, whereas we are also talking of independence of all these arms of government. Well, whatever it is also the opinion of so many people that local government administration is the main. That is one angle in which democracy growth can get to the grassroots where the population remains higher in the country. Well, we are looking at issues around the local government administration this morning. Dele Ayodo is my name.
And I am Chienye. Good morning and welcome on board. Yes, my colleague has said a whole lot concerning local government administration not performing very well in Ogun State. Okay, we have a capable hand in the studio who will be taking us through this and answering so many questions this morning as to why they are not performing well. We have in the studio Comrade Olatunji Ayuba. He is the Nolgate chairman for Ogun State chapter. Good morning, you're welcome.
Good morning, Comrade Ayuba.
Good morning.
Well, quickly, let me say when we say non-performing or inability to perform, well, it's not. We are just situating it to Ogun State, almost across the country. Some people even say we are better in the southwest there in terms of local government administration when you go elsewhere. I've been to some other states across the different zones, and I know the way it operates. Comrade Ayuba, first of all, as a unionist, you are involved in many of these things we have talked about. Has the situation improved as we speak? Let's start from that pedestal.
Thank you very much. I want to particularly say that the concept of local government is about the delivery of social services to the people at the grassroots, which of course local government has been doing over the years before the 1999 constitution takes effect. Yes, there has been a number of allegations, counter allegations, that local government is not responsive to the yearnings and aspirations of people. It's not living up to the statutory functions of its establishment. A number of factors are accounted for this. And all and all we have been saying this. Before now, local government is taking their allocation direct from the federation account. If you look at those periods, local governments were responsive. They were doing what is expected of them in terms of social services delivery, talking in terms of roads, talking in terms of maternity, healthcare delivery, environmental sanitation, and the lots, even in terms of internally generated revenue. But today, the yearnings and aspiration of the entire masses, it is not that of Norgay, is that the local government should be more empowered. That is, should be given a kind of substantial power to be able to function effectively. And what does that mean? If we look at the constitution of the Nigeria to the 1999 as amended, the three issues that are contained in the issue of demand for autonomy are embedded in the constitution. The problem with the constitution today is about the contradictory provisions in the constitution. Take for instance, if we peruse through section 7 of that constitution, what we find there is that the political autonomy is already there. That is, by that section guaranteeing the existence of the local government. Meaning to say, in the Nigerian federalism, local government is recognized as a tier. But the contradictory provision to this is that empowering the state government to to supervise the structure, the staffing, the funding, and all sorts of things. And this is where respective local state governments, not only in Ogun State, are now coming to encroach on the exclusive preserve of the local government, and that this one to a greater extent is crippling the performances of the local government. If you talk in terms of fiscal autonomy, if we examine the provisions in sections 162, we have that the federal government, the law recognizes that out of the amount in the federation account, certain percentage should be given to local governments. But as against the past practice, wherein the amount due to local government are given directly to the local government from the federation account. But today, what is being done is those funds are now put into an account called joint accounts for redistribution to local government of a particular state by that state government. These are where some of the challenges of local government started.
Now, Comrade Ayuba, you said the powers that will have made this local government autonomous, independent, have been taken away. First, what are those powers? Identify one, two. Who took them away?
And that's exactly what I'm explaining now. You see,
because when you are saying the inability of these local governments to make money independent, we talk of political independence is there, but supervision, administration, and then money making. If you look at Lagos, for almost 3 years, there was no money coming in from the federal allocation. So why can't we have these local governments do same instead of having to wait and complain about state tampering or dealing with their money?
A comparative analysis of Lagos State and Ogun State cannot be adjudged until we now see what are those conditions surrounding the state government of Lagos State taking over the IGR of Lagos State, and how are they practicing it? How is it being practiced in Ogun State? In Lagos State, it was true that Lagos State government was almost collecting what is supposed to be collected by the local government. But upon collection, Lagos State government will now distribute the IGR after determining the amount they used to generate that thing. So they distribute to all the local government, and on top of that, local governments and the LCDs in Lagos State are functioning. Unlike in Ogun State, what is operating in Ogun State is, well, local government has been alleged a number of ways by the state government that we lack capacity to generate internal revenue. And on account of that, a number of state laws have been passed and a number of directives have been issued that the state government agencies and contractors will be collecting on behalf of local government, with the agreement that after generation, part of the funds will be redistributed to local government. But the thing we are seeing today is those funds are being generated up till today. We have said this times with that number on this station and some other stations that those monies are not being redistributed. We have mentioned some of those items. The issue of signage is there. It is being collected by state government for more than 7-8 years. No dime is given to local governments. The issue of the Okada riders are there today. In fact, there is a document recently signed under duress by local government now that the entire revenue of the local government should be collected by the state government.
So what do you mean by under duress?
We have said it is unconstitutional. It is illegal that the state government collects on behalf of the local government, when in actual fact the local government has every manpower resources to do that. Where they lack resources, it is that local government that will complain to the state government for assistance. It is.
Comrade Ayuba, I still want us to see if we can trace how we got to that point. Like you mentioned, before 1999, strong people were administering local government, and local government were doing marvelously well. Things you can see. But that did we get to the point in which we are today, that even clearing of refuse, garbages cannot be done by local government. Even taking away cops on the road cannot be done, can no longer be done by the local government. Can we trace it, how we got to that point?
Mr. Ayodo and good people of Ogun State will bear with me. No matter ideas you have, no matter what you put on paper, where there are no funds to implement them, it will just remain there. We have a number of good prints, but the resources to now execute these projects are the problems. In fact, between 1999 and 2003, the constitution was in place, but of course, the provision of Section 162 that created the JAG was not implemented until in 2003, when some overzealous politicians came into being. They now move round and lobby for the implementation, for the actualization of that provision of the constitution. And that is the genesis of our problem. That is the genesis.
Okay, so how then do we go back to correct that?
The prime correction is what the Nigerian masses have been demanding for. And what is that?
Which is?
Let the local autonomy be granted in terms of political, administrative, and fiscal autonomy. We agree in totality that no country of the world can be completely either centralized or decentralized. But of course, what local government in Nigeria needs today to function effectively is a kind of substantial power given to them. Let them decide on what they want. Let the people around the community, let them participate in governance. In fact, local government is supposed to be a kind of training ground for democracy. For our democracy even to be sustained, we need people at the grassroots to participate. Many that are occupying position, they are not grassroots position. They don't even understand the rudiment of politicking. Then what then do it? In fact, an average person, an average politician that is given a position want to centralize all power to himself. The idea to decentralize power is the problem that is bedeviling local government to function now.
Now, Chairman, some people, I'm sure you will have also heard it, have alleged, accused unions, NOLGE in particular, when it comes to local government of complicity in this regard. How it's grown, the cancer tumor now grew to become something that is difficult to do, because what local government employees do is to turn their eyes, once they are benefiting from it directly, away from this malaise that is going on. I therefore want to ask you, what we have employees in local government, we have local government staff, what do they do as their daily assignments now?
Well, if you want to nail somebody, we can call that person several names. I want to tell you that local government workers are very hardworking, they are very efficient, they are determined to carry out their owner's responsibility as specified in the law, in the relevant laws. But where one is incapacitated, particularly in terms of logistics, what do you want us to do? Sometimes ago, the state governments were moving around markets, locking markets to collect taxes. They are able to do that because in doing that, we have police with them, we have some civil defense with them, vehicles are there, top government officials are there. Those markets were locked for some days until they were able to pay. When local government tries to do that, they call us hoodlums, they call us touts, and so on and so forth. In fact, we have seen our workers going to collect some rates. They collected and they issue receipt, yet in some stations too, they still allege them. In fact, they specifically mentioned one name, Tosin Kayode. When he collected a kind of trade permit, he collected that trade permit, he issued receipts, and somebody somewhere now went ahead and reported in about 2 or 3 media. They were mentioning he is the one that led some town to come and harass them and this and that. But when state government does that, nobody say anything.
Yeah, but what is even right?
What is that? They are not harassing. One thing is, our people, we are not readily accessible in terms of collection of taxes anywhere in the world. When you preach and you persuade and this and that and it fails, Government of the day expect you to even bring money. If you do not do that, it goes to show all your strategies have not worked, that you have not been working. So the next thing is to enforce. Where we now intend to enforce, then the community people turns it to another thing. Whereas if federal government staff does that, or state government staff does that, there won't be anything. But when it comes to the issue of local, because it is a government of our people, we all know ourselves. These are the kind of allegations. And this is why people are saying, if to say they are on that duty with every security people, I know such thing will not happen. But because local government lacks that, and that's one of the allegations that local government lack capacity. When we demand for this, the money we have not generated, police will demand, we have to fuel it. Will I use my own personal money to fuel for official car? And we have to generate this fund. These are some of the challenges that we have.
Okay, Comrade.
So rather than the state government taking over, where we have some challenges is where the state government should come to aid us. In fact, in recent times, when some states were incapacitated, federal government was giving grant to them. Why can't the state government do that?
Yeah, but that's what Ogun state government has said, that monthly he pays. I think about 2 million even to the local council development.
Yes, it is agreeable. But if you are taking my resources and giving me peanuts out of it, are you giving me grants? You are taking my IGR. Yes, you are now coming back. You are taking an IGR that can evaluate of more than 10 million. At the end of the day, you give me 2 million. Are you giving me anything? Is that a grant? Would that be regarded as a grant?
As workers of local government, obviously you feel a huge part of this brunt. What are you people doing? What are you planning already to do to have this put in proper space?
My dear brother, despite all odds, we are still moving, agitating to do the little one we are able to do. As it is now, those IGRs that the state government has written to us, they will be collecting on their behalf. If anybody dare to go out and collect that, then it might be running foul against a superior law. So we will not get that. We are only looking at those areas that they have not said that, yes, don't go this way, to do that, so that the little ones those one can do will continue to do. The second thing we are doing is about our agitation, taking advantage of this amendment process of the Constitution to ensure that local government is strengthened, is empowered to live up to its responsibility to the people. And that is why we are calling the masses. It's not a kind of knowledge issue or local government worker. We are only stakeholders. We are only concerned because our image are being dented. It just look like as if to say, local government workers are non-entities, they don't know anything, they are this. It is not. But it is the condition that we find ourselves. And that is why we continue to shout and shout and shout and clamor for this.
If this process of getting it corrected using the Constitution fails, will you then support those who have said local government should just be cancelled and substituted into state administration?
From day one till the end, we will not support. But because we don't have the authority to dictate, whatever government does is what we'll be doing. In fact, at a time, the government has even said, yes, we want to redeploy some local government workers to the city. We are happy about that. When we get there, we will now go and showcase what we have, the stuff we have in the local government. We will showcase it to them and see what we can do.
Okay, Comrade Ayuba, I remember sometime last year, August 2017, there was a protest which you chaired on local government autonomy. What came out of that protest in the end?
Yes, we did a protest on the directive of our national body, that is the National Nigeria, and the protest was done across the country almost simultaneously, except where there are others. In the states where there are challenges. So after the protest, we presented our paper, our documents to the State House of Assembly, and of course, they took it, they assured us, and they said they were convinced. They were convinced of the need to strengthen local government. And let me tell you today, the Ogun State House of Assembly kept to their promises by approving the local government autonomy. And Ogun State is the only state in the southwest now that has done it. And we want to, on that note, appreciate our excellency for creating that enabling environment for the state assembly to do that. I want to express our appreciation to the State House of Assembly under the leadership of the current speaker for doing the justice and, of course, listening and adhering to the yearnings and aspirations of the masses.
All right. We now have 57 local government administration, 20 local government, 37 LCDAs. This has been in place for almost 18 months now, or 17 months. Election held in 2016 October. Let me get your view about these 37 LCDs. Will you say towards it? I'm not looking at because of the space created for more uh, members of yours to get a space, but in terms of the need, the reason why they were created, developing the grassroots. What's your opinion?
Well, let me say that it may be too early to evaluate the performances of the LCDs, considering the economic challenges that we have. We have said several times that bringing governance more closer to the people, of course, is supposed to be beneficial. But of course, the challenge of funding is the problem that may be difficult for us to now evaluate to what extent as the LCDs bring this governance to the people in terms of social services delivery. For instance, we have said the state government is giving local government and LCDs 2 million naira. If a local government has about 500
That 2 million
votes,
naira, is it consistent? Has it been consistent?
It's aforesaid. It's aforesaid. They may get it today, the next 2-3 months they might not get it. Another time it will come, and so on and so forth. Sometimes it will come with condition, and so on and so forth.
What condition? What kind of condition?
The condition that you have to do this, we agree to that condition.
Okay, the money will have been
Yes,
attached
to this. Yes, we agree. If the entire fund of the local government is given that, and the state government is now supervising, you must utilize this for this, we will be happy. You see, we are not happy taking salaries, and people are letting us that we are not doing the job, and that is our concern about autonomy. How can I tell my wife, my family, I am going to work, and yet people are continuing to allege me, you are not doing that job? My family knows my stuff, but of course, the stuff is not translated in where I'm working. So that's a particular concern. Let me be satisfied in my job. Let me do the job and see whatever I now earn. Yes, I can beat my chest that I have worked for that job.
Are you also satisfied? I'm sure you are aware that many or some of these LCDs, as we speak, still do not have a functional office or a place that would be said to be a functional office.
Well, I'm not aware of any LCD that has no functional office. What I can say is some have their own permanent offices, some have temporary offices. So, but the bottom line is they all have offices where they are operating.
And they do, but when the office can be office, anything can be office. That's why I use the word functional. Where when you get to the staff,
it is functional. When the staffs are there, the little of this they are working with those things.
Okay.
So,
all right. Yes. Okay. Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM this morning, looking at local government administration, and we have with us the Ogun State Chairman of the National Union Local Government Employees, the one you call NOGE, Comrade Olatunji Ayuba. Comrade Ayuba. Now, really, it's painful that what should have been basic, simple things of local governments to do and not be done. But some people have also suggested that part of assisting this local government, the one we call concession PPA, private partnership participation in some of this. Why it's not suggesting this to some of these chairmen? Because when you do that, you have entered into a contract, and then that could on its way take the hands of the state government away from it. For instance, let's say clearing of refuge in your area. If you do it that way, would that not be something good?
Honestly, I quite agree with you, and I want to tell you, it's not that we have only suggested. We have some PPP arrangements going on in some areas. Take for instance, in the areas of waste collection and disposal, we are partnering with the state government, and it was on the basis of our interactions between the state and the local government that the idea came on board. That okay, if the government has no resources to manage our waste, then the private sector should be involved. And that is why you see some refuse contractors that have been registered by both local government and the state government now. In some local governments, in fact, in virtually all local governments.
But
So
we are not seeing the result yet. Why? Because almost everywhere, virtually everywhere, is still
you see,
littered.
let me say, the people sometimes look at waste management as just a very simple thing. It's not simple. What we have, the economic situation of the country is militating, is partly militating even the private sector to function. I will give examples. For a contractor to be registered, he has in his own organization at least two specified waste management vehicle. But in most cases, because of economic situation, if they have one, the government will say, okay, since we cannot do it, and the ones they are coming, they only have one, let us do it. But if they have one vehicle, and that vehicle is allocated to this area that we have now to service that community, should that vehicle break down just 1 or 2 days, the next 1 2 weeks you cannot solve the problem that will have caused by the breakdown. So in which case, government is supposed to have a backup. And let me tell you, no local government today has a functional waste management vehicle as a backup to these people. And that is the problem we are witnessing.
You can keep sending your contribution, questions, comments for our guest, Comrade Olatunji Ayuba, Chairman Ogun Noge. 32120, that's the number to send your message to. The short code number. You just have to type ROCK first, you leave a space, type those comments, and then send it to 32120. You can also join us, contribute via our Twitter handle is at Rock City FM. Of course, the discussion is also on our SAP page. Those of you who are there, let's get engaged in the discussion.
And for the studio lines, 0809-868-7344 or 0909-146-9670. And then don't forget, keep those messages coming into either the short code dial 32120, the Twitter handle, tweet at Rock City FM, the Facebook fan page, Rock City 101.9 FM. Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
My name is Chienye. Calling from Egwuonwu here. Now, it is quite clear now that the local government negotiations have been crippled. Unless the local government is fully autonomous, no way the people can enjoy the local government. From the submission of your debt in the house here, everybody is quite aware of what is happening to the local government in the state. We have been saying this thing for a very long time, that local government in Ogun State have not been very responsive. And now, from what he has said, we now know why they have not been very responsive. Most of the, what do you call it, ICR or collection of taxes and other things have been taken up by the state government. How can local government function in that situation? It is very clear now what is happening to the local government. And I think the better we implement the autonomous local government, the better for the people of the state. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Hello? All right, we lost our call 0809 or 0909 Good morning.
Move away from the radio, please, quickly.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Adewale Adetunji. I want to greet Comrade Ayuba for the work well done. At the same time, I want to appeal to our governor to try as much as possible to consider the local government autonomy in question. And at the same time, this 2 million giving is not all that enough to cater for all the things that is needed in this country area. How I wish the fund is being released to local government so that they can utilize and do what is needful to the masses. God bless you, Rock City.
All right, thank you, Mr. Adewale.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
My name is Abdul Falam from Abiola. First and foremost, I would like to appreciate the effort of the state government for endorsing autonomy to the local government. And as far as I don't believe it's off. Because I want to know that some states are still working on it. Even though some two states as well as I don't remember their name now. But let me say that that is the best thing for us. And that's the best thing we can have as far as the local government is concerned. We must have the autonomy. We must work on them. We must be able to monitor them because they are closest to the people. When we are talking about LCDA, of course, I share the aspiration of the governor. LCDA is part of the right process. With the other process, I think if the local government can stick to the other autonomy, then very soon the National Assembly will look into it and try to bring some of these LCDAs into the Constitution. If not all, at least that is the other process. So it's the right way to go, but I think the governors that are still working on it, should try to see their effort and try to endorse it. You know, those are voters actually, that's their own problem. You know them for what they are. But I believe that the rest of them have to work on it. And I know that it's going to come fast.
One call more for this side of the program.
Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Dele.
Morning.
Good morning, Chienye.
Good morning.
Good morning, Olatunji Ayuba.
Good morning, sir.
I have to be blunt this morning. I want to say the premise of local government creation in 1976 by the then government of Ayodo has get controverted in conclusion. Not also during the regime of Obasanjo president in 1999, he almost felt sorry that his original aim had been defeated. He did not hide his desire to want the local government administration stay in the country. Why? They have become caricature of themselves. Local government system became fierce with all sorts of corruption, inefficiency crept in. Everything in the local government system became a family affair where no check and balances appeared. Everybody became a secret house. The managers could not manage their sources. The chairman became overlord, becoming chiefs of the council, Alache. The system became rotten, so we have to now find ourselves. With the decision of this now, the pros and cons way to come together. Local government system still needs a lot of monitoring. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Okay, we'll put a hold to the calls and check the comments on our Facebook fan page and shortcut down. We got this one from Adewale Shobowale. The problem of local governments is that of empowerment. That's all. It's all about financial autonomy. They should be getting their funds for now straight from the federal purse. Most local government chairmen are also not helping issues. They have a low self-esteem, and they just feel whatever the governors do is sacrosanct, and this is because the governors put them there in the first place. Okay, that's from Adewale Shobowale. And then a message from the shortcut down. The local government, the local government administration has been totally hijacked by some state governments in terms of agriculture, works, revenue generation, and waste collection. Kudos to your guest. Thanks. Okay, this was sent in by Shuaga. That will be it on this very segment on Citizens Forum on the Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM. But keep sending those messages via the shortcode dial 32120 for the Twitter handle, tweet at Rock City FM, and then our Facebook fan page, Rock City 101.9 FM. And then Comrade Olatunji Ayuba will still be with us here in the studio on the other side of 10. Stay with us.
To do on the Daybreak Show, Rock City 101.9 FM. This morning, Citizens Forum looking at local government administration in here in Ogun State. Well, there are 20 local governments added to it. There are 37 council development areas (LCDs). Together, we say we have 57. And the Ogun State Chairman, National Union Local Government Employees, that's the body of staff, workers in the local government here in Ogun State. Comrade Olatunji Ayuba is our guest. Together, we have been looking at different issues around local council or local government administration. We'll continue from where we stopped. Before that news, we'll take calls. He will respond. Comments, opinion, but let's just understand that the rules remain the same. No insult, no abuse on any individual personality. As you make your comment, no matter how sentimental you feel, no matter how emotional the issue is with you, just ensure that reasoning, decorum, civility, and maturity overrides all those things. God bless you all.
0809 or 0.
Dele, good morning.
Morning.
I'm calling from Ayodo.
Thank you.
For the local government, I'll start from the staff, the employees of local government now. There's this saying that he who must go to the city will have to go with clean hands. We've seen instances where local government employees carry out their duties in questionable manner. Where you want to collect money from somebody and you feel harassment should be the order of the day, or where you go, somebody comes to your office to do one or two things, and you insist on getting. I really don't want to put it this way, but I don't know how else to put it. Also, before that job could be done, except we are trying to shy away from that part. It happens in all these offices. We know. Now, on government, I don't know why we decided to take away the source of livelihood of this local government, and we decide to give them peanuts. I used to think that only few governors that were doing it, until recently that we got to know that virtually all the 36, that is the practice. Where local government has been silent, nothing is happening. It just comes to the local government at the end of the month to pick up their stipend as salary and they go. There's no responsibility for them to take up. There's no source of income for them. They can't even initiate projects. It's appalling. It's appalling. Good morning.
0809868744. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. My
We
name
can
is
hear you.
Ayodo. I come from Abeokuta.
We got that. Go on.
Yes. Number one, I think the local government administration needs to be reorganized because when you look at the man said that the state government loves the market. So you can imagine that we have two types of local taxes. Local government collects tax, levy every day from the market, and they collect another one for store from the market people. The state government has the responsibility to collect personal income tax once in a year from those market women. And they have refused to pay. I think that is the reason why the state government have to shut down the market to collect it. And I don't know any reason why that concerns the local government. Number two, the local government needs to reorganize their finances in their financial department, because all these trade permits that they collect from the people, they account for it, they give account on it. The receipt they issue is subject to manipulation. They use biro to write it. For example, if they collect money from 40 tailor, fashion design association, they only write tailoring association 10,000, and now ask them to make photocopy to all their members. What of the money they collected from individual members rather than giving them individual receipts? emblem. The federal government has banned it. The local government still go around in all federal government routes to collect money from them. Why are they to contradicting the federal government order? I think they really need to organize themselves.
All right. 0909146967 Comrade Ayuba is taking note. He will give his reaction. Hello, somebody.
Good morning.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I am Comrade Senior Citizen from Ayodo.
All right.
My comrade in the house. Now, you see, I wonder, you have been so cool. Why and how? You're supposed to have gone to court because you're being pocketed. I think state not being like that, but have gone to court. Why local government is being pocketed? It's a thought being recognized by the constitution. Why should the state government be pocketing them? That is number one. Number two, why is the state government appointing contractors for refuse disposal? What is the work of the local government? The money being given to these contractors is supposed to be given to local government, not selling the waste disposal. They know where these refuse activities and where they should carry it. So I think they are not to be done that because they are being handicapped. You don't want to form people like their LLC chairman who is not being interested to want to know. That's the reason why some of you are so silent. And I think unity is not like what it used to be in those days. So you need to be allowed to be. You fear no evil, fear no foe. When you are fighting for people, let people know that you are fighting for them. And you're supposed to demand on your rights.
All right, okay, we'll just take one call more and then we'll come to Comrade Ayuba. Let's take this call. Hello, somebody. Good morning.
Good morning, Dele.
Thank you.
Comrade Ayuba.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Honorable Larry. I'm calling from the People's Parliament in Abeokuta. I've listened to you, my brother. I think in those days it used to be very rosy in the local government. Even they used to do some grading of roads. They used to do one or two things, environmental program on immunization, EPI, etc., etc. But now, I mean, now a moribund of the thing, but notwithstanding, I don't know why governments are pocketing the local government. They're supposed to be the third tier of government. They're supposed to be the ones that are closer to the grassroots, to the people. So I've been always clamoring for the normality of the local government. But I pray that in our own existence we'll be able to witness it. But we all need to rise up and just, condemn this kind of resumption of duties by our governors. I mean, they don't need it. Give people another chance for people. Good morning, Mr. President. God bless you. God bless Nigeria. Honorable Judge.
All right, Comrade Ayuba, you want to
Yes, I want to thank everybody that has contributed meaningfully to this discourse. I will start from Mr. Tajudini, Mr. Olalikon, Mr. Kola, Mrs. Choboale, Mr. Shuaga, and Abayomi. I want to appreciate you for sharing our feelings and appealing to the state government to do the needful to strengthen the local government in order for it to function effectively. Yes, in the words of Mr. Kola Oluwabi, he actually said in the past, I understand he was a local government staff some time ago, in fact, a senior colleague, and he was alleging that in the local government system there are a number of inefficiencies, corrupt practices, and so on and so forth. Well, I cannot exonerate local government entirely from the issue of corruption. Even in our various houses, there are corrupt tendencies. But the issue is, what is the level of corruption when we compare the three levels of government? What is the level of corruption? That we should now place emphasis on the issue of corruption and corruption and corruption. And we have said severally that whoever that is corrupt and that is caught, let that person be reported and justice be done. By the time 1, 2, 3 people are caught and they are penalized, I want to think it will serve as a kind of deterrent to others and they will stop that. So that is not enough yardstick for any other higher government to now take responsibility on behalf of another government. There are corrupt tendencies in the state. Why can't federal government take over the function of the state government because of corrupt practices? So these are issues we need to address. The others that raise fundamental questions, Mr. Abayomi actually said there are local government workers go about harassing people. What is the concern of local government with the state government locking up or shutting down markets? We are not concerned about the government shutting down markets. All we are saying that state government was able to do that because they have the capacity, they have the resources to do that, unlike that of local government. And when they did that, there was nobody that harassed the government for doing that. Was that not an harassment on the part of the marketers? And then who dare now allege the state government for doing so? And that is our concern about the state government shutting down markets. In terms of harassment, we have said that we have instruments of collecting revenues. We have laws that are governing this internally generated revenue. Diligently, we will go to those people that are supposed to pay, appeal, serve demand to notice. Sometimes we'll have gone 2, 3, 4, 5 times, they will not pay. So as a bit of making them to pay, in a bit to enforce, because sometimes we may not want to take them to court because ideally we should go to court. But how many people that will be interacting with every day you will be taken to court every time. But when you push them a little bit, many of them will be forced to pay. And I don't see why we are not considered that kind of thing as harassment. And that some workers are issuing joint receipt, like to association. In my own jurisdiction in the local government service, I supervise a department that issue receipts to millers, food handlers, and so on. They bring their money en bloc, but when we write receipts, we write those receipts individually and we send it to them through the association that brought the money. So I see no reason why people could write receipts jointly. So where that is done, the payers have the audacity and the right to say, don't write it jointly for us. Give us one after the other. So like the officials has the right to demand for money, so also is the payer has that right to demand, this is what I want, otherwise I will not pay. And where they insist, then they should go to the local government and make an official report. And I think if that is done, justice will be done. With the issue of bribery and corruption, that okay, in transacting business with local governments, some people are asking workers. Don't forget that to those who give and take, they are almost committing the same offense. If they demand for you to bring money before they do your official business with you, report to the next senior man in that environment. And where that is not done, we can have a recourse to the state assembly or the state government to say, I want to do this, yo. They told me official rate is 10,000, but they're asking me bring 5,000 before it can be done. Where all this are being done, we will all jointly bring sanity into the system. My senior comrade MOK, I don't hear that name very well, but MOK said, why shouldn't we have headed to court? We all know what is in the judiciary today. And many of our unions today across the federation, what Ogun State is even trying to some extent now, the entire reliability in terms of the funding of the union has to do with our checkoff system. And for some time in the recent past, governments were owing unions deductions over 5 months, 10 months, and so on and so forth. And if we choose to go to court, we know we have to file applications. We have to engage the service of lawyers. All this will involve money. And of course, don't forget that the state government that you want to fight is the one that is appointing the judge of a court.
No, I'm sure MOK is not looking at Ogun alone. He's looking at, because it's a national
what is applicable to Ogun is the same thing applicable across the country. Even if not again Nigeria, let me tell you, what is the quantum of money that is going to the pocket of Norge, Nigeria, to warrant taking a court, taking a case to court, and having that enough resources to engage SAN about 2 3
So you
to
don't have
fight the cause.
lawyers who are sympathetic to the cause and can either do
We
it in
have
pro
at one
bono
time
or what.
consulted some lawyers. Of course, they will not charge, but they will demand for administrative charges. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that. And where those are not available, then what then will we do? These are the challenges we have. But we will still consider that option, and we are still soliciting. We need philanthropists. We need radical lawyers that can even assist
All
us in
right,
this.
let's check out the messages.
All right. For comments on our Facebook fan page, we got this one from Ayodo Alex Olatunji Okolomo. Kudos to Comrade Olatunji Ayuba for opening our eyes to the kind of governance that this administration has brought to Ogun State. Long live Rock City FM. You are the best for always bringing two sides of a story. Olatunji Abiodun from Ilaru. Then we got this one from Olamide Combos. I think what is happening in the local government is the cause of corruption and injustice. And sir, what can you say about that? Thank you and God bless you. Okay, he thinks what is happening in the local government is the cause of corruption and injustice. And for the shortcut dial, we have some messages here too before we move over to the tweets. We got this one from Obro P from Ilibero. Thanks, comrade. How I wish the Nigerian police force has a union that's cheating on the police rank and file, and that is too much. Then Ikechukwu Olisa also sent a message via the shortcut dial. Some people have perished for lack of wisdom just because we are in a confused nation. Which local government are we talking about? Is it the one that has been hijacked by state governors? I refuse to be convinced. Only local government autonomy will help the local government to function well. But how can the local government get this autonomy? Because many states' House of Assembly has rejected the call. So what is next? That's from Ikechukwu Olisa. Then we got the next message from Cosmos from People's Center here in Abeokuta. Complication of LCDA in some states pose problems for LGA's autonomy. The solution is in social reconstruction and re-articulation via visionary, realistic, and democratic people's constitution, which has been lacking since 1914. Indeed, the perennial amendments of the 1999 temporary military decrees is a charade in state of anarchy. That's a message from Cosmos. Then for our tweets, via the Twitter handle, Surakat Abiodun tweeted, but according to what you said, sir, that an agreement was signed between you and the state as regards the revenue collection. Then if the state is defaulting in the sharing formula, then you can seek redress in court. Still from Surakat Abiodun, despite the paucity of funds, that's what you meant to say, despite the paucity of funds for the survival of the 20 existing local governments, can you simply justify the need for the creation of the additional 37 LCDAs by the state government? Can you justify that? Zechariah Olubayo also tweeted, I'm not in support of not paying tax, but the local government workers should do it in a reasonable manner. That's from Zechariah Olubayo. Fatumbi Oladipo also tweeted, Comrade Ayuba, the local government can still clear road bushes and dispose refuse with the little allocation accrued to them. We're not feeling your local government existence at all. No, no, not at all. Again, that's from Fatumbi Oladipo. Adefowora Adesonwa also tweeted, by the time INEC begins to conduct the local government elections, people will defend their mandate and executive recklessness will be checkmated. Abiodun Goodness Olalike also tweeted, local government autonomy is highly needed. Now, without it, they will continue to operate as a toothless bulldog, depending on the state government for everything, even the ordinary street road they cannot handle. That's a big shame. Zechariah Olubayos tweeted again, the Constitution has already stated autonomy of local governments. Why are we not following our Constitution? This is another drama. Why creating these LCDs when there is no fund to run them? Those are questions from Zechariah. And still from him, that is what I am agitating for. The local government needs autonomy in order to function very well. It's not good at all for the state governments to render the local governments impotent as it is happening today. Good morning, sir. On the local government, is autonomy given to the local government in Nigeria? Delani Roberts also tweeted, if you do not like the mega-rich multinational corporations running the government, then stop funding them. You need to live more simply, support your local small businesses, and support your community. Support national sovereignty. Still from Delani Roberts, the not too young to run is commendable, but it changes very little. What Nigeria needs is local government autonomy so people can take control of their local affairs and not depend on the state capital for everything. And so from Donald Roberts, I think the only way to say fix Nigeria is to ignore the politicians for now. Let's start from the bottom and not the top. Our local communities, then the neighboring communities, then the local governments. Help small business and give them a way to survive alone. Then we got more tweets coming in. Abayomi Babalola also tweeted, we should all condemn the state government for usurping the rights and responsibilities of the local governments. They have not adequately performed well over their own jurisdiction before moving to that of the local governments. That's from Abayomi Babalola. Akorede Camille also tweeted, working together to accomplish what we cannot do individually is not a new concept. However, when resources are scarce, the concept of sharing becomes more practicable. The regional services, consolidating services, cutting costs are reasons why local governments must stay alone. And then to the next one from Abayomi Babalola. The practice of the state governors putting the local governments under their foot is one of the reasons why people don't vote during the local government elections because we know they don't have manifestos to execute. The governor decides who gets what at any time. That's a tweet from
All
Abayomi.
right, can we have Comrade Ayuba? We'll return to those messages, but let's get reactions.
Yeah, thank you so much for those that have sent in their short messages and tweets. In all of the short messages, I think the issue that is contentious is about the submission of the message of Mr. Olamilekon talking about corruption and injustice that has been explained earlier on. And I have said where an officer is caught, let that person be put into book. Let them try that person, and if found guilty, it should be brought to book. And that will serve as deterrent to others. So others, Mr. Ikeshiku, Mr. Cosmo, they are all in supportive of the local government autonomy and appealing to the state government to do the needful to ensure that local governments are more empowered. Mr. Cosmos equally, and one person said I should justify the establishment of the LCDs. Of course, I may not be able to justify because Nogbe is not the mastermind of the creation of the LCDs. But of course, what I can say in this essence is that I have said it earlier that bringing governance to more closer to the government should be beneficial, provided there are means to funding it. The situation now is, and the challenges the LCDs will be facing is about the funding. So, and I think over times we may want to get over this. Yes, the first person that tweeted says, yes, recalled me that I said there was an agreement between state government and local government on how to generate. But what is why we should seek redress if the state government renege in there? Well, the same thing, my answer to this would be that of the man that asked us to go to court for. If you are seeking the redress, where do we go to seek redress? It is the court. And we are handicapped to doing that. So, and that's why we are soliciting for radical lawyers who can assist us in this area. Yes, Mr. Olubayo said, yes, it is true that we should collect tax, but we should collect reasonably. I've said that one earlier. I've answered that. That we should, I have equally appealed to my staff who are in charge of this collection of various kinds of revenue. At least when they go out, at least they should be modest in their submissions too. They should talk to our people the way they will understand and they will pay willfully. Forceful payments should not be ensured until all other methods fails, and that is when we should do that. And before we do that, if we have reported to 1, 2, 3 or neighbors around, and they will be in the best position to say, what they have tried a lot. So I want to appeal to our people to exercise patience while carrying out their lawful duties. Mr. Oladipupo said, yes, even the one we are collecting is enough to clear bushes. Not only clearing bushes, we have some local governments that are doing that. They clear refuse, they clear complementary to what the state government is doing. In fact, we have some people grading roads. We have some people even maintaining primary school up till now. Up till now, they are still doing it with the little resources they have.
Local governments in Ogun State here.
Yes, they are assisting some primary schools. Yes, in terms of provision of grading. Yes, they are still doing it.
Okay.
Yes, sometimes
maybe maybe 1 kilometer per year.
It can be 1 kilometer. I don't say all local governments. I said some local governments are still doing it up, even with the little resources they have.
Okay.
So I think I have answered all.
All right, we'll return. We still have more messages.
Yes, sure we do. Okay, we have more tweets here.
We pick the calls.
Mohammed also tweeted, "What a big view! It's good thinking, man." Abayomi Babalola, creation of LCDAs has no justification whatsoever. We don't have enough funds to go round, and the residents don't derive any service from them. It's only a way to extend governors' political influence and also install stooges. That's from Abayomi Babalola. Akorede Camille tweeted again, in present-day globalized world, the states should recognize the necessity to have in place a system of government at the local level. Autonomy to local governments is a worldwide thing. Remarkably, it depicts the level of involvement of the people at the grassroots. Okeleye Musiliuddin also tweeted, I agree with your guest on the local government right to collect tax, but they should stop parading touts and miscreants as tax officers. That's an observation from Okeleye Musiliuddin. Or we'll return back to the calls now, 0809 868 7344 or 0909 146 9670. Hello? Hello? Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. We can hear you now. Fine,
Good
thank
morning.
you.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm Taiwan. That's from my area. Yeah, good morning, comrade.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine, and you, sir?
Yeah, I'm fine. It seems you want to tolerate barbaric attitude of collecting tax. It's civilized world. It's not done like that. You don't use force on people. There are people are suggesting that you should go to court. It is because that, I mean, we do justice to it. You don't use jungle justice in collecting tax. I want you to collect it. Because the way your tax collectors behave to people, they treat people as animals, beating them, even with us with sticks. It's not good. We should be civilized. Eh? You use persuasion. Use all means possible, not just to treat people as animals. Then you are asking for autonomy. Can you guarantee us that giving financial autonomy will be able to manage funds? Because in the past, it has not been so. People have been stealing money left, right, front, and back, and doing nothing. They just sit down there, share money, and go away, not doing anything. That's why the state government has taken over the responsibility of all this local government. And somebody is just trying to say it's not justifiable creating all these LCDs. No, not is enough. You see how they created space there. Eh?
All
They
right,
only
your
have
2
20
minutes.
here. By creating 37 other LCDs.
Thank you, sir. Your 2 minutes is up, sir. Thank you. All
Good
right.
morning.
Morning.
Yes, my name is Mr. Ayuba. Yes, I want to continue from where Baba.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, go on.
Yes, let me continue from where Baba stopped. Yes, I believe that the local government has been rather comatose and scattered because of the high level of corruption, and we have local government autonomy. After that, we operate this present, system of government. Local government autonomy cannot work unless there is for increase in local government funding. And secondly, I believe that there is need for us to democratize the local government. What am I trying to say? It is in the hand of the politicians. Until local government administration is handed over to the career workers in the local government, we'll continue to have this problem. So most of these politicians, they are not experienced, they don't know anything about the terrain in the local government. That is why you see local government chairman will be building skyscrapers. Whenever it's
Hello? All right, we lost connection. Comrade Ayuba, you may send them the rest of your contribution via the short code dial. Hello, good morning.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Dele.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning, my sister and girls. I'm
morning.
Comrade Ayuba. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Olubenga, calling from Bodelide here in Abeokuta. I just rightly commended the State House of Assembly for doing the need to grant them autonomy. Sir, don't you think this autonomy will be crippled away? Because I can recollect around 1994 and 1995, when the then chairman of the South Local Government, late Chief Taiwo and Comrade Egwuonwu, they were granted autonomy by them. As soon as they paid their teacher, as soon as they paid their staff, the teachers were left unpaid. Around that time, the teachers made a protest, and some of the teachers were wounded by them. Secondly, with the gratuity the state government paid the retirees last year, January 2017, they paid them 2012 to June 2013. Whereas those who retired under the local government, especially primary school teachers, for 2011 are yet to be paid. What can you say to this 2013 before 2011? Their
All right, thank
autonomy
you.
cannot work, and that was why about 20 states again.
Just take one call more and then give room for Comrade Ayuba's reaction.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, Mr. Dele and our guest, and Chienye.
Good morning.
My name is Big Daddy calling from Abiola Way. Hello?
We can hear you, Big Daddy. Go on.
Yeah, there's one thing I want to ask our guest. Please, sir, the law, like how many set of the people that the law meant for, sir? Well, number one. Number two, if it is for everybody, because that's what I'm sensing now. I mean, we are in a park in the same place. And somebody is taking permit or whatever, paid by five people didn't pay. They hold somebody, one particular person to must pay. If I disagree not, hello?
Big
You're
Daddy,
still
go
on,
on.
Big Daddy.
If I disagree to pay that thing, how are you going to penalize me? Because I found out that those people, when they come, they cut and a group of people, they will not collect because he knows them. And he's supposed to pay for everybody. Everybody's supposed to pay for this. Number one. Another one is that the road has been taken, the local government, whatever that comes in, are taking over the state. Please, I'm only asking, what about their roads? Who is those people that are going to take care of them? Fine. Last one is that, please, if you are going, I would like you to drop the number because you're only trying to comment bitterly about the people corrupt. If you should report them. Give me the particular number that will use connect you as you are leaving there, sir. That's my comment.
All right, Comrade Ayuba, let's get your reactions.
Yes, let me start from the last caller. Big Daddy. Yes, my numbers are 080 39 53 5401. Comrade Ayuba Olatunji. Yes, the law is made for every citizen of Nigeria. And of course, every citizen has a right to respect that law. Where some taxes are being collected and some are excluded, in fact, the community people, including I and you, have a responsibility to ask them why are some people left out. And you can make a justification and count out that if you are not collecting from Mr. A, then that we are running the same business, how will not even pay? Let him take you to anywhere he wants. I think justice you will see justice along that line. Thank you. From Mr. Olubenga from Bole Olude. Yes, he said, don't I think autonomy will be crippled in respect with teachers, payment of teachers' salaries? And he made references to between 1994 or thereabouts that when local government paid their staff, then the teachers were neglected. Yes, it was in some local governments at that time, really. But then in a bid to solve that problem, NORGE and NUT enter into an agreement and find a lasting solution to stop a repeat of that episode of 1994. And what we agreed at was that, okay, the responsibility for funding primary schools, including payment of primary school teachers, belongs to both the federal government, state government, and local government. Okay, why can't the government now consider deducting the amount for the funding of primary education as a first line charge, meaning to say all the three tiers of government would have been responsible for the funding of primary school teachers, and the salaries of primary schools are paid into a dedicated account and be transferred to every state to pay the teachers. So whatever that now comes to local government will be the exclusive preserve of local government. And as at that point in time, I think the issue of payment of teacher salaries will be a thing of the past. It will be resolved. Comrade Ariwoko said,
talking about
local government autonomy cannot work until funding is improved and this and that. But I don't know the angle is looking at it. What is crippling? One major factor that is crippling local government today is the transfer of the responsibility of the state government to local government without corresponding funding.
Or transfer of local government responsibility to the
state government responsibility, particularly this area of primary school teachers. If you go by Schedule 4 of the
who employed primary school teachers?
For now, I don't have answer to that question because by my understanding, primary school teachers has no employer. Yes.
Okay.
Teachers can come and accost me and ask me questions on this. They don't have, for now, a particular employer. Local government allocation is being used to pay primary school teachers salary for now. And of course, I can't be boast of any local government that know exactly how many teachers are on their payroll. Local government is paying somebody that it does not employ. So these are issues. The allocation coming to local government today should be enough if the issue of primary school teachers is removed entirely. And the contradictions in the constitution is the one giving the state government the opportunity to utilize local government fund to pay primary school teachers. And what does that? That local government shall participate in the funding of primary education. The extent of participation is undetermined. Though the Supreme Court judgment of 2002 stipulated that the funding of primary education is the sole responsibility of the state government. Only the local government should participate. If we are not to participate, at least our participation should not even be up to 30%. And by primary school teacher salaries alone, according to a committee set by the state government sometimes ago, we discovered and resolved that the funding of primary school, payment of primary school teachers only accounted for over 70% of funding of primary education. Why I will now say local government allocation is not enough. Let the local government relieved of this burden, local government will perform wonders. Mr. Taiwo Ayobode, yes, I am not supporting the issue of barbaric attitude in tax collection. I have quite said that our tax collectors should be modest. But I want to make this clearance issue clear that very well. You see, most of the tax collectors we are seeing today are not from local government. We have said most tax collectors today are contractors of the state government. So if you want to allege local government, endeavor to ensure that you know the identity of that tax collector to now reflect local government, because local government is being alleged. Any tax collectors today collecting on behalf in local government level, they regarded as local government staff, whereas it is not. Majority of the tax collectors today are contractors of the state government.
All right, well, let's just wrap it up with the messages.
Okay, we have a couple of them here. We got this one from, okay, you didn't include your name, Oluwaseyi from Abeokuta. I want to ask a comrade if the local government workers have the right to begin to pack and take people's goods from their shops forcefully, even when they have not paid their trade permit. What is such act called under the law?
Quickly, let him wrap that's important, because I see really those same tax collectors, they just pack the things and take them away. The wares.
Well, it is not an encouraging thing for it to be done. But because the local government is not have the capacity to involve all these law enforcement agents to do certain things for them, they want to only make it's a kind of ingenuity. Okay, if you do this, let it go. I am not encouraging that anyway. It's not too good. I have told people.
Said that we have to manage the time. Yes. And of course, we would not be able to go further. But we promise you, this is just the first part, and we are trying as much as we can to have the Honorable Commissioner for Local Government to also be here. Some of those things he has said, and you have also said, hopefully will be dealt with when the Commissioner comes subsequently. Dele Ayodo is my name. I say God bless you all. God bless Nigeria, and God bless Roxy. I must also thank you, Comrade Olatunji Ayuba, for joining us on the program. Thank you, sir.
And thank you very much for having me on your program. We really appreciate you. God bless Rock City, and God bless all the producers.
God bless you too. And my name is Chienye. Continue to do the right thing always and every time. Good morning.